Okay, and we're live. We're here. We're back with episode 169 of the workshop. Nice.
Ooh.
Um, and I am here. My name is Todd Royce. I'm a Tacoma comedian, and I am here with Angela Greensel from where? Tell her where you're from.
I'm in Queensland, Australia. I'm actually in a regional part of Queensland, Australia, so I'm not going to tell you where it is because you have probably never ever heard of it.
Well, plus you're probably afraid that I'll come try to find you, which is understandable. I give off a creepy vibe. And then also in here we have the one, the only, the incomparable Sherry Hardman.
Hey.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Where are you from, Sherry?
I am really close to you, Todd. I am in the greater Seattle-Tacoma area.
Oh, it's the greater area. I'm in the poor area. She's in the greater area. Boy, that's just the beginning of the jokes you're going to hear today. So real quick, this is the workshop, and we're here to write material. We were each given a word to write 3 to 5 minutes on. We're going to perform that now. And just as a reminder, this is a comedy safe space, which is a little different than the version of a safe space a lot of you think of. A lot of times, this is actually anything goes. We're just trying out stuff. We're making jokes. If you do find yourself getting offended by anything that anybody says here, just remember it's just a joke. So calm down. We flipped a coin before we went live, and let's pretend Angela won that. So
Like we did?
Okay. Rightio. My topic was Imperial. And when I got this topic, I thought, awesome, I'll be able to come up with heaps of material on that. But I haven't. And I've got mostly just premises that haven't been formed into a joke yet. So I do apologize. My creative juices haven't been, the most moist this time around. Anyway. So with Imperial, I thought I might do a few Star Wars jokes. So I've got a few premises around Star Wars. It's like, do you think you could be trusted with the Force? Like, if you were a Jedi, could you be trusted not to force choke your enemies? Because I totally couldn't be trusted with it. I'd be force choking my enemies left, right, and center. And also, I've noticed that with the Imperial Army, they have like the laser guns and they go pew, pew, pew with those, right? And then they've got the massive friggin' Death Star, but there doesn't seem to be much in between. And I'm thinking maybe like, the Emperor wasn't that great of a strategist, and maybe like some middle ground could have helped him. Oh, your cat is licking its ass.
I knew it.
yeah, Sherry called it. Sorry to interrupt here.
Anyway, I just think like some middle ground could have been made where you got a bomb that was big enough just to take out the rebel base rather than blowing up a whole planet. Because he's gone from like laser guns to the Death Star, and the Death Star seems like a bit of overkill when you don't have like a bomb to just blow up a base, you know? So that's the stuff I came up with for Star Wars. I do have to comment about the state of affairs in America at the moment, and this election result is kind of what you would expect from a country that can't make the move from imperial to metric, I'm feeling. It's just consistent, I think. And talking about, our royal family, because they were an empire once. Well, they sort of still are. And the debacle with Prince Harry and Prince Philip has said that he feels Prince Harry has abdicated his responsibility for a life of self-centered celebrity. And Prince Harry was too busy working and earning an income to respond. But if he had of, I'm sure it would have been something like, yeah, but you're not my real granddad anyway. Diana was a slut. Right. So that is me done.
Wow. Okay. Right on. I love ending on Diana was a slut. Also, I have to say the not trusting yourself with the Force is so good. It's like a really universal fun concept that I think that there's a lot that you can do with that.
Yeah.
Are we like, I don't know how we're doing this. Are we just like throwing stuff out, or are we taking turns?
No, throw stuff out.
Okay. I don't know Star Wars or watch Star Wars, so I napped during that little period because I don't get it. And I do like your metric joke because we are idiots for that. That's and the Prince Harry and Diana thing, that's good too. The one thing I thought of Imperial margarine. I don't know if that. I don't know.
I don't think we have that here. Yeah.
Oh, well, that explains it. Yeah.
We've had a lot of that here.
Yeah, both Todd and I ate all of it. That's probably why you guys don't have any.
Sherry and I look like people that would be in a country that would have Donald Trump as the leader. Never mind. I don't know. I was going for something there. Never mind. Did you have anything else for Sherry for that set?
No, that's it.
I liked it. I thought it was good. And like you said, just coming up with premises, and honestly, the Force thing, I really just think that there's a lot there.
Yeah. Like, what would you do with the Force if you had, access to the Force? And I totally couldn't be trusted with it at all.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you I know for a fact what Sherry would do with it, but I won't get into that. It would be. I mean, I literally would just sit here and, if the remote control's over on the table, I'd bring it over,
Yeah.
Like I would be extra lazy with the Force. The Force would be totally wasted for me.
And being able to play practical tricks on your friends, like, oh yeah, go and pick up that thing, and then you just keep moving it. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Sherry, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. We'll
all right. My word was trial. And I find trials fascinating because I'm like one of those people that's obsessed with serial killers and that kind of stuff. And I am actually one person that enjoys jury duty. Like, my job actually pays me a little bit extra to not come to work and sit in a room with a bunch of other weirdos. Like, sign me up. I'm going to do that every day. But the thing is that nobody talks about the trial. People always talk just about the crime. Like, if you think back to like Michael Jackson, people talked about Neverland and Michael Jackson holding hands with boys, but hardly any mention was really made of his trial. I mean, except for 2 times. Once when he danced on top of that car, and 2, when he was feeling really awkward because they were all describing his spotted dick, I know, my timely Michael Jackson jokes here. But let's see. The only time that a trial was more important than the actual crime was with OJ. Because, obviously an athlete playing with a pair of gloves is much more important than a woman's life. And you notice it wasn't called like the Nicole Simpson murder trial. It wasn't, they never talked about it wasn't the Sharon Tate murders. It was the Manson murders. The only time they ever mention a woman in the title of these trials and murders is when it's unsolved. like in the John Benet Ramsey or in the Black Dahlia. I don't know why. I know that's not really funny, but there's something there. I just don't know what it is. I remember in the OJ trial, the day of the Bronco chase was the day that I told my ex that I was pregnant with my youngest son. And so we're on the phone, we're talking about it, and we're watching this happen. But little did I know that my ex was also riding the back of something big and white. No, that's not right. I got to work on that. Then we have clinical trials of drugs, which I don't understand. I mean, God bless people who are willing to do that, but you got to really love meth, like my friend did when he joined a clinical trial that made him temporarily grow breasts. Because he was trying to make meth money. Let's see, these are all like not ready yet. We know that. Then we have trial period. And that sounds like it's something like it's a trial to see if you want to have it's like a pre-period to see if you want to have a period. I mean, and nobody, who would sign up for having clots in your underwear? I mean, nobody. And who would want to vote to have a period knowing that every time you had one, some asshole in your house is going to ask you if you're having one when all you're doing is expressing a perfectly rational thought? The other thing, the last thing, is like there should be a trial period of marriage, you know, but people think that like living together before marriage is a trial period. It's really not, because first of all, back then you're still being nice to each other and still holding in your farts during sex. Instead of that, it should be a trial period instead of not from like the new beginning, but let's do a trial period of what marriage would be like 10 years down the road. You know, like in the middle of a pandemic, when you haven't washed your underwear for 3 days and your husband's walking around wearing some pajama pants that make him look like a fucking leprechaun. Haven't had a date night or been away from your kids in 8 months, and your husband's idea of foreplay is coming over and waggling his weenie on you right when you're in the middle of binge watching unboxing videos on YouTube. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad to be like married for 10 years. There are some joyful moments. The other night, in the middle of the night, we had sex just like we were 49 again. And you really know someone loves you if they're willing to kiss you and take care of you when you're walking around wearing a nightshirt with SpaghettiO stains on. That's it.
That was good.
Yeah.
Right on. Right off the bat, I loved it when you were doing the Michael Jackson stuff, and then you're like, "That's my relevant Michael Jackson material," and then you went back like 10 years before that to OJ.
Yeah. You were talking about how how differently they report the female murders, and only if they're unsolved, and that sort of thing. And I think there's a line there about sexist murder reporting. I don't know. It seems like a funny kind of phrase, and I don't know whether you could like slip that in there somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I know. It's a feminist point I was trying to make there. So yeah.
I like the pre-period thing too. Especially, I could see you especially on stage, going into the idea of making men take a pre-period type, or maybe even just going off into describing it of men having period or something like that. Just because knowing you and knowing how you could do it, the crowd would be, I'm sure the females would be on your side, men would be squirming, and everyone would be laughing. I think you could do a lot with something like that.
Good idea, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that like 40, like we're 49 again. I saw you posted something like that on Facebook, and I laughed out loud when I read it there. So
Yeah.
I know. I really like that line. I think it's funny.
yeah,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's good.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the stuff about trial periods and trial period marriage and your trial period stuff was all really strong. I think like your strongest stuff was at the end of that set, whereas like the trial stuff is still kind of premises that you're forming.
Mhm.
But the premises were really strong, so there's still something there.
Was the trial marriage thing, the 10 years down the road, was that something that you literally wrote just for this, or did you have
Yeah,
something?
no, I just wrote it for this.
That's really good. You gotta
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
That's what's so fun about this. Like when I first did the first workshop, I thought like, well, I'm not really gonna keep anything. It'll just get me like in the habit of writing. But there's stuff that I've written for this that I definitely want to take to stage.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Anything else for sharing? I guess not. So then I guess it's my turn.
All right.
And ironically, for what's going on this week, my word was presidential.
Oh boy.
Wow.
So I have what's that?
I just said, wow.
Okay. When I was a kid, the president of the United States was Ronald Reagan, and he seemed presidential, but that's because I was a kid. Reagan was the president in the 80s, but he had been a movie star in the 1950s. And when I was a kid, those 30 years seemed like such a long time, but now it doesn't. Like, I remember movies from 30 years ago. The movie Young Einstein starring Yahoo Serious came out 30 years ago. That's the same amount of time. Imagine if we had President Yahoo Serious today. Actually, it's not that hard, considering that for the last 4 years, we've had President Are You Serious? Before being elected, Donald Trump was accused of not acting presidential. And he said, just wait until he becomes president. He said, once I become president, I will be so presidential, I'm going to be boring everyone. And then like 2 years into his term, he was publicly fighting with a 15-year-old girl about climate change. My, how presidential. It reminds me of all those classic Holocaust debates between Roosevelt and Anne Frank. I've never stayed in a presidential suite. That's a big room in a luxury hotel. I'm sure that the Trump Hotel, the one at the Trump Hotel, has everything, covered in gold, and it all smells like cheap prostitute. Of course, Joe Biden's presidential suite is just hospice care with turn-down service, where they leave a little mint next to your colostomy bag. I'm concerned for Americans following this election. So many people have made Donald Trump the heart and soul of their own personality. Trump supporters wear his merch like they're supporting their favorite football team. With Mitch McConnell just walking around the stands going, get your hot dogs, get your candy, get your total control over women's reproductive rights here. No. Of course, liberals aren't doing any better. They've spent the last 4 years spewing nothing but hatred towards Trump supporters. Because, it's like the great Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. Or just call them all racist and bigots. That'll probably work too. It's weird how Americans go all in on their presidential candidate. Like, they might only like one or two things that they represent, but they're still going to act like they're the savior of the planet. Like, we're more selective when we buy greeting cards than when we pick a presidential candidate. Like, I'd never buy my wife an anniversary card if I agreed with most of what it says. You open up the card. You are the best part of my life. And the day that you became my wife, I knew I'd always love you. And thank God you're not a Jew. And it's like, well, I meant all of that except for the Jew part. That's all I have.
Cool.
Right.
Let her rip. Let's hear it.
That was all really strong. That was good stuff. I love the "Are you serious?" line. I was wondering why you had chosen an Australian movie, an Australian actor, Yahoo Serious. And then when you said that punchline, "Are you serious?" It's like, oh, it was all building up to "Are you serious?" It's like, now it makes sense. It was just so clever to think of that. I love that. That was actually my favorite part of it, probably because it was partly Australian.
Thanks.
I like that too. I was like, who the is Yahoo Serious? That sounds familiar. I loved your Anne Frank joke.
Oh, thank you.
But I love a good Anne Frank joke.
Sure, who doesn't?
Uh-huh. I think your presidential suite, I'm sorry to interrupt, but your presidential suite stuff, I think you should keep, and I think you could keep writing stuff for presidents in the past and future, like
Okay.
what their presidential suite is like. I think that was good.
Oh yeah, that would like Taft has the extra large bathtub or something. It's just a fat joke.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah,
Okay, that's cool.
that could be a whole bit. And the greeting card bit was good too.
Yeah. The greeting card premise is really solid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
So I mean, I think you had a lot of stuff there that you could flesh out, and you could do the whole 10 minutes just with those,
Yeah.
4 or 5 things that you had right there.
And people are going to be talking about this election for ages. Like a lot of that's going to stay current for the next couple of years. You'll be able to do it for a while.
That's true. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's true. It would be nice if next week we're like, oh, that election. Yeah, I remember that. Seems like so long ago. It's weird how Donald Trump has just shut his mouth and gone away nicely. And
But that's all I have. So for you.
It's hard to come up with points for improvement when the material's so strong to start off with,
Oh, well, thanks. Just out of curiosity, what's the comedy scene like down in Australia?
Yeah, so I've done comedy in Darwin, Melbourne, and Brisbane. And Melbourne is obviously the comedy central of Australia. It's where you go to make your comedy career. Sydney's probably the next largest scene, but Brisbane in Queensland has a surprisingly healthy scene. You wouldn't think it for like a hick state like Queensland, but it has a really good little comedy scene going for it.
Really?
Yeah.
And are you guys able to have live performances, or like have you guys gotten affected really bad with COVID?
So it's a state by state thing. The states have closed their borders to other states that have COVID cases. So there's currently no COVID in Queensland, and they're starting up gigging again now. I've done a few gigs recently, and I've got some booked a bit later in November. So they're opening that all up again. But, in Melbourne was far worse affected. So that still hasn't started live gigging again yet. But there's a lot of online stuff starting to pop up from Melbourne. There's an online gig called Unmuted Comedy that is becoming internationally successful.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So this is the part where usually we, go see if anybody's working on anything or wants to go over anything.
Okay. So are we starting with me? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is stuff that I'm working on at the moment. I grew up on a farm in the country, and as a child growing up in the country, you're faced with a lot more kind of life-threatening situations than what city kids are. For example, when I was a toddler, I was put in hospital by a rooster attack. It's quite serious. I was in hospital for 3 days. And I have been scared of the cock ever since because it was all just a dick joke. That's all that was. But it does explain why I am so bad at dating now. It's like, hi, my name's Angela. I know how to castrate a bull and I have an irrational fear of cock. So have you noticed that people will quite often say gym bag or gym clothes when just bag or wanker will do? And it's because the very act of putting gym in front of something automatically makes you sound fitter and healthier than what you already are. And I figure you could do that for other things. For example, I'm having some gym pizza and some gym beer. Or I could have some gym sex with Jim and have a gym baby. Or if I don't want to ruin my gym life, I could just have a gym masturbation. Rightio. I've really gotten into smoking my own food, but I have this problem. I need some wood for my smoking box. I've searched everywhere. I've searched in the garden, at Bunnings, on Tinder. I just don't seem to be able to find wood anywhere. So people often mistake me for an old school goth, but I don't identify as a goth. Everything about my look is accidental. For example, I wear a lot of dark clothes because I'm fat. I have long hair because I look like a lesbian with short hair. And I don't go out into the sun much because I'm a vampire. No, it's actually because I'm a closet ginger, which is basically the same thing on account of all the blood we drink. And I've killed a lot of pot plants in my time, but in my defense, if the pot plants were already middle-aged, they were probably already dead inside anyway. There was a greater sense of community spirit before social media. For example, most of you have probably never... Oh, what's the line? Most of you have probably never thrown rotten fruits and vegetables at a public hanging before, and it shows. Epstein was euthanized. It's a dead giveaway. Radio. That's me done.
Right on. I like it. I'm the one-man applaud. Oh, there we go. That was really good stuff.
Oh, thank you.
I really like the stuff at the beginning, especially when you just kind of tagged it with because all that was just for a dick joke, and I love that.
But I was actually, as a toddler, I was put in hospital by a rooster attack. It was actually quite a serious attack.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
So what happened?
So I was a toddler, and the rooster pinned me to the ground, and it hadn't had its spurs removed, and it was digging its spurs into my back, and I got a nasty infection from the spurs. So I was in hospital for something like 3 days while they got rid of the infection.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Not funny though.
Well, I mean, it's a little funny.
Yeah, it's a little funny.
You know, I was thinking, and I don't know if you could do this, but if you could not do that cock joke at first and wait until you do the castrate the bull, and so that it comes as a surprise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I know it's like I didn't write enough down to be able to, but yeah. And same with like the wood smoking box. I would like that to just like hit you from out of the blue, like you know.
See, for me, just the opening with that joke, like right off the bat, like it's kind of like I already kind of knew where you were, but like you took me along with it. Like you started it off, and I got it like right away, and then it made me laugh, and then I was like, okay, where are we going with this?
Right.
Like I was going at the beginning.
Yeah.
When you guys have universal health care in Australia, right?
Yeah, we do. You
So-
jealous much?
Yeah. And like I want to take whoever can do this, I want to record that rooster story and then put that up on TV here and explain like what would you do in America if you were too poor to help your kid if they're ever attacked by a cock.
Well, there's another joke in there somewhere about how city kids, have to fend off pedophiles, but I was attacked by a cock.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
I also like adding gym to things to make it sound more healthy. That's really good.
Oh, thanks. I'm
Right.
still working on the end of that. I'm not I want the end to be stronger somehow. But I'm not exactly sure what the punchline is for that to really make it kill. I'm probably going to be tinkering with it for a while.
Maybe you could tie in a callback to the rooster thing, and when you're talking about getting Jim getting you pregnant or whatever, you could say then you have a Jim kid who gets attacked by a Jim cock or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm
That
just
is
trying to-
actually a really easy joke to do a callback to whatever my jokes are that I'm doing before it. So even if it's not the rooster joke, whatever jokes I've done before it in my set, I can call back to it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
That's a fun one when you can find something like that you can easily do a callback off of, because you can have your set with that Jim joke, and then you can always just change that part.
Yeah. Yeah. That would work.
Okay. Sherry, do you have anything for Angela?
I got nothing else for Angela. Sorry, that's not my strong suit. But I do want you to know that Mike Hansen is making fun of you on Facebook, Todd. So
Yeah, I saw some of those things, and I haven't shown. I'm just going to keep that one up, though. That's the only one that I'm going to put up, is where he complimented me. Partially because I don't know now how to get it off. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Okay. He also decided to make a little fat joke about me because he's
Okay.
a simple-minded, trailer park dwelling human being. Okay, Sherry.
all right. So I actually just have a true story that I have not figured out how to do on stage. So maybe you guys, I'm just going to tell you the story 100% true, and then see if you guys could maybe help me tell it, because I don't know how to end it. So, or if it's even funny enough, I don't know. Okay, so there is in our area a booker, and I'm going to call him not by his real name. I'm going to call him Mr. Confidential. Have I told you this story, Todd?
No.
All right. So the first time that he booked me, after the show, he walked me out to my car, gave me a hug, and then gave me a kiss on the lips. And it was just a peck, like your mom would or whatever. And I'm driving home and I'm thinking, that's weird. Like, nobody else in comedy has ever kissed me on the lips. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just like an older, I don't know. Is it cultural? Is it something that older Black men do that I just don't know? I don't know. Then he booked me again. And the second time he booked me, he walked me out to my car and again kissed me on the lips. Nothing like salacious about it, just kissed me on the lips. So the next time I saw him, I was at Tacoma Comedy Club sitting there with another comedian. And I said, oh, there's that guy. He always kisses me on the lips. And the comedian said, well, do you like it? And I said, no. And he's like, well, then tell him to stop. And I said, well, I know, but I've already let him do it twice. So now if I say something to him, it's going to be weird. So he comes over, shakes the guy's hand, and then kisses me on the lips. All right. So then I'm out with a girlfriend of mine one day, and she's about my age, and she's also white. I don't know if any of that matters. And she says she's good friends with him. And I'm like, oh, good. Now I could ask somebody, does he kiss you on the lips? She's like, no, we're just friends. And I'm like, well, I know, but like when you say goodbye, he doesn't kiss. Never. She says never like that. And I'm like, okay. So then the next time I work with him, I'm doing a show, and it's four women, 3 young Black women and myself. And so I privately went over and asked one of them, because she's worked with him before, does he ever kiss you on the lips? She said, no. And then literally like scooched away from me a little bit. And I'm like, well, I'm not saying anything bad about him. I just don't get it. And then he came in and he walked through and he shook all our hands. And I was like, oh, okay, he's not going to do it this time. At the end of the evening, another producer walked me out to my car. And then all of a sudden, from nowhere, the other guy, Mr. Confidential, comes around to my car window, kisses me on the lips. All right. So then the next time I see him, and this is the last time, I was at Tacoma Comedy Club with about 6 other comedians. And he walked in the door. He was coming as an audience member. He was with his wife. And I turned to all of them and I said, oh, my God, this guy always kisses me on the lips, but I don't think he's going to do it this time because he's with his wife. And I told him the story about it. And he came over to the table and he shook hands with everyone. I put my hand out to shake. He leaned in for a hug. I turned my head away from him, but he went all the way around, got me on the lips right in front of everybody. And out of the corner of my eye, I could see them all just dying. They're like kicking the floor, and they're all laughing so hard that he got me on the lips. So that's the story, but it's just, to me, it's freaking funny. I just don't know how to make it a bit. Because I've always thought, well, what if my husband was with me? You know, would he still kiss me on the lips? I don't know. Or is this just a Me Too story and it's not funny at all? So,
well, first of all, thank you for giving me the name Mr. Confidential. No, but, I would. I personally think that you can make anything fun. You just have to put you'd have to elaborate a little bit more or make some stuff up, and just small little things each time. You know what I mean? Just to give a little punchline for every time he went and kissed you on the lips or whatever. Or like even something like I thought of when you said no comedian had ever kissed me on the lips before. Maybe add in, at least not these lips. You know what I mean? Something like that for like a little punchline.
But how do I end it? I mean, because it's kind of like COVID stopped this joke because I don't have, like, he's probably never going to kiss me on the, maybe I'm sad that he's never going to kiss me on the lips. Maybe I could end it like that. I don't know.
That's good. I mean, making it out to where maybe the last time you could switch it around, where maybe the last time, you have all these people there and you're like, he's going to kiss me on the lips again. And then he comes over and he went for the handshake. So then didn't want to lose face. So I leaned in for the kiss and he turned his cheek on me or whatever. Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's, something along the lines of, I didn't think I would have a Me Too moment. There's something around sexual harassment. It's sexual harassment when the person's like ugly, and it's flirtation when it's somebody attractive. So I think the funniness there is in the play between those two things. You've got to figure out, like, is this sexual harassment or is it flirtation? Like, is he flirting with me? And it's like, I guess, do I find him attractive or not? Right. I think the funniness there is in in the deciding, is this sexual harassment or not? Do I find this person attractive? Is he harassing me, or is he flirting with me? That kind of tension there.
Or is he flirting with me, or he's just treating me like he does his grandmother?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, I used to do a bit about an older lady at work who told me that getting older is great because when you're young, you can touch the beautiful young men, but then you get to an age where you can't touch them anymore, but then you move past that age, and then you can start touching the beautiful young men again, but in a motherly way. So maybe you've gotten to the stage where, you're being touched in a motherly way.
Right.
Another one, going off of what Angela was just saying, another take on it could be, this would definitely be regional, but you could say something like, if he was a producer in Hollywood, but this is a producer in Lakewood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I assume, where he's producing.
Uh-huh. Correct.
Okay.
All right.
By the way, this is absolutely a Me Too story, and he shouldn't be kissing you on the lips.
No, and the comedians that were just laughing at it, that's not really good either, honestly.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that it's actually not okay for him to be doing that. Okay?
Well, that's part of my confusion. Every time has just been like, what is going on here? Why is it only me? Why am I, I don't know. Okay.
And by the way, 100% next time I see you, I'm kissing on the lips. So that's just going to be from now on.
Can't wait. All right. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Okay, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so I only have a few things that weren't on topic that I have kind of written this. So I don't know if any of this is going to work or what, what if I just did that for 5 minutes and then call it a day? Okay. You never hear about anyone who has too many fucks to give. No one's ever like, I'd love to hear more about your issues with me, but I have to go give fucks to other people I've pissed off. There's that one. And then I get overly excited. Or people act like I'm too old to get as excited as I do. I get really loud and jumping around and really super excited. But when you're middle-aged, you should overreact to good things because we know how seldom good shit happens. Kids should be less excited. Kids should be like, yeah, great, we're going to the zoo. Last week we went to the circus. Next month it's a carnival. I don't have to pay bills. Good shit always happens to me. But for us, nothing else happens. So it's always good stuff. I need a better punchline for that.
Okay. That's a good premise.
And then the last one that I have here, this one's a little bit longer, but the English language is really strange. And sometimes a word has different meanings. Like the word tail. You could tell a tale, or you can get some tail. And sometimes you tell a tale about getting tail. Or the word ball. Like my wife would love to go to a public ball, hates it when I scratch my balls in public. Or like hot tub. Hot tub could be a wonderful place to relax, but hot tub also sounds like someone complimenting me. Like, hey, he's a real hot tub. Even the word homophone could describe two words that sound the same, or a phone that only has Grindr on it. Where Siri is a lot more sassy, like, hey Siri, what's the weather? And she's like, look for yourself, you silly bitch. It's always trying to take dick pics. My Siri just went off to screw the Anyway, so that's what I have for homophones. That's all that I had.
Well, you got to do the hot tub because that made both of us laugh out loud. So,
Right.
That's funny. I've never heard anyone say that, and that's pretty.
It's weird. When it came to me, like that one line, that's like one of those ones that's the line that inspired the whole, like me writing the whole thing, because I just heard someone randomly say something about a hot tub, and that's what popped into my head, and I'd never had before. Like I've been tubs.
I would finish the joke with hot tub because that is the funniest one, because it would never occur to anyone else to say that, and it's a really funny thing to say.
Mhm.
So I would end the joke with that and have the other stuff in front of it.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
And you need to flesh out that too many fucks to give, because that's pretty damn good. You can skew that many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to help you because I don't know, but I mean, I just
if you could get to working on that and write me up some stuff, and
I'll get right on it.
I'll take care of Mr. Confidential for you then.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we're half of what the minimum's supposed to be, so we blew through this.
Well, it's not as many people, so we've got
Exactly. Yeah.
We're just so good that we did it super fast.
We're just banging it out.
Yeah.
I really like doing these though. I like doing these workshops. It's a lot better than, or from what I understand, it's a lot better than like the Zoom mics. Just because it's more of the workshop, you know.
Yeah. I like being able to just bounce ideas around with people from all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know that's fun because during some of those things that I was like, you know, like, is she even going to understand what this word means? Which, by the way, it's weird for an American to be like, I wonder if that person understands words. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know if it's called the same or whatever. Or like when you did the smoking wood in the box joke. At first, I was like, oh, I wonder if that means the same thing in Australia. Wait till I tell her what that means.
Well, fortunately, Australians are exposed to more American culture, I think, than what Americans are to Australian culture. So we're familiar with a lot of your cultural references, but there are certain things that I still miss. There have been jokes that people have told on these workshops, and I've just had no idea what they were talking about.
Right. Yeah. Have you seen? There's a show. I think we get it on Amazon Prime. I think, and I think, is it Rebel Wilson's hosting it? It's a show where like they have a bunch of comedians in one house.
Oh, that's a travesty. I think I probably shouldn't diss. You know, some of the best Australian comedians in the business, but
no, I
that show was terrible. No.
You don't like it?
No.
Oh. Well, never mind then. We don't want to get you in trouble.
No, it's just that I actually know a lot of the comedians that were in that show, and I know, like, on stage they are so much funnier. Like when they're doing routines and stuff that they've worked on, it's polished, and you know, doing their TV shows like I can't remember her name right now, but one of them has her own TV show, and she's like hilarious on the show. And I just feel that, you know, outside of that show, they're so much funnier, and I was a bit disappointed that it didn't really show that in that show.
That makes sense. I thought it was fun to watch, but in reality, it's kind of a weird premise to put comedians in a room and tell people you're not supposed to laugh at all.
Yeah.
Then it just looks like everybody's bombing.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody have anything else? Or should we call it a show?
Yeah. I think we're done. It was great to meet you, Sherry.
You too. Do you ever do any of the Zoom mics or anything?
I've been doing a few shows with Eargasm Comedy. They're based in Ohio, Cleveland, or Cleveland, Ohio, whichever way around that goes. So I don't know whether you know Eargasm Comedy or not, but they're doing a few online shows at the moment, and I've been having a lot of fun doing those guys.
Right on.
I do a women only Chicks with Mics on. It's an open mic on Saturdays.
Yeah.
During the day, that's a really fun. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Actually, that's a good point, though. We should do plugs for the one person that's watching us right now. So
oh yeah,
they know where to find us. Do you want to go first, Angela?
Okay. I'm on Instagram as Angela Greensaw Comic. And I mean, my last name is really rare, so there's only about 4 Angela Greensaws on the internet that I've ever found. So I'm really, really easy to find. So if you're wanting to find me on Facebook or any of the other social media, just search my name and I'm super easy to find.
Okay. And speaking of super easy, Sherry?
yeah. You can find me everywhere on a show called Heavy Petting with Sherry Hardman. YouTube, Facebook, podcasts. That's the main thing I got going on right now.
That's a fun.
We talk pets and sex. So
that's right. It's a fun show to watch too, and be on. Me and Munch was on there on my episode. And then I'm on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube as Todd Royce XXL. And I got nothing going on, so yay COVID. All right.
well, thank you.
Thank you all for joining me.
Look forward to kissing you soon, Todd.
Can't wait.
Okay.
All right,
Take
bye.
care. Bye.